Shalom. I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this week's Focus Israel Report. In this week's report, we're going to be sharing with you regarding the current status of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, and it is as follows. In recent meetings with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was pressured by Kerry to present his view of a Palestinian state with particular emphasis on security arrangements for the Jordan Valley. In talks with Kerry, Netanyahu proposed a 5-year interim agreement that would give the Palestinians sovereignty over 1/3 of what is now known as Area C. Area C is the territory in the West Bank that is presently under Israeli control. In addition, Netanyahu's proposal called for an official Palestinian presence in Jerusalem. In Netanyahu's plan, during the 5-year period, the Palestinians would be required to take steps to remove incitement from official, educational, and media material and fully dismantle the terrorist apparatus in the West Bank. It also called for the Palestinians to lead a public campaign that would clarify that a final deal would be achieved with Israel as the homeland of the Jewish people. This would eliminate the Palestinian desire for a right of return. However, both Kerry and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas rejected Netanyahu's proposal. Rather than accepting Netanyahu's proposal, Kerry verbally presented to Israel and the Palestinians the ideas of the United States on the issue. Kerry is urging an all-encompassing final status deal on the Jordan Valley, West Bank, and sections of Jerusalem, including the Temple Mount. Kerry's proposal calls for international forces to maintain security control along with an unnamed Palestinian police force. Kerry asked that Netanyahu not put any obstacles in the way of a U.S. plan for Palestinian and international forces to assume control of the Jordan Valley. However, Israel would retain security posts in some strategic areas of the Jordan Valley according to the U.S. plan. Regarding the Temple Mount, the Palestinian Authority and Jordan would receive sovereignty over the Temple Mount. Israel would retain the land below the Western Wall. Kerry's plan for Jerusalem follows the parameters set by former U.S. President Bill Clinton during the Camp David peace talks in 2000, where Jewish areas of Jerusalem would remain under Israeli control and Arab areas of Jerusalem would be under Palestinian control. Most Arab sections are located in East Jerusalem. Regarding the West Bank, the U.S. plan calls for Israel to evacuate about 90% of its Jewish communities in the territory. Israel would retain control of the main settlement blocks of Ma'ale Adumim, Ariel, and Gush Etzion. In return for Israel keeping these areas, the United States plan calls for Israel to exchange land with the Palestinians. That would most likely include part of the Negev, which is the southern part of Israel. Israeli diplomat sources say that the atmosphere behind the scenes between Israel and the United States is even more hostile and tense than has been portrayed in the media. A senior Israel minister said that Kerry could no longer serve as an honest broker between Israel and the Palestinians. Meanwhile, the Palestinians are trying hard to internationalize the conflict with Israel. The Palestinians want other international parties, especially the European Union, the United Nations, and Russia, to play a major role in the current U.S.-sponsored peace talks. They perceive these parties as being more sympathetic to and supportive of the Palestinians. So why did the Palestinians agree to the direct peace talks? A senior aide to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said, "We want the United States to be involved in the peace process." Palestinian leaders say that they have lost confidence in the United States administration's ability to serve as an honest broker in the negotiations between the Palestinians and Israel, saying that the United States has a bias in favor of Israel. The Palestinian Authority's strategy now is to prove to the world that Israel is not interested in peace and the United States cannot be trusted with brokering a comprehensive and just solution to the conflict. However, the Palestinians are willing for now to pursue the talks with Israel in order to avoid being held responsible for the failure of the peace talks. Palestinian chief negotiator Saeb Erekat revealed some of the concessions the Palestinians have agreed to as a part of ongoing peace talks. We have accepted minor land swaps in size and value. We have accepted limitations on the nature of Palestine in the future, a strong police force, no army, no navy, no air force. We have accepted all the criteria that would lead to a two-state solution, he said. I'm the one who made the deal with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry. We committed not to seek upgrading the state of Palestine's status at the United Nations for 9 months in exchange for the release of 104 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. The Israel Housing Ministry published tenders for the planning of some 20,000 settlement apartments, which is an unprecedented number, including 1,200 units in the controversial E1 corridor, which attempts to link Jerusalem with Ma'ale Adumim to the east. Soon after the report broke, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu canceled the tender for the E1 area. In doing so, Netanyahu rebuked Israel Housing Minister Uri Ariel from the political party Jewish Home for circulating the plan without coordinating things with Netanyahu. In addition, Netanyahu said, "In recent months, we have been building and have offered numerous tenders for thousands of housing units. It wasn't easy, but it never is. Nevertheless, we did it responsibly, as we have been doing the last 4 years, standing in the face of international pressure." Netanyahu said any further settlement construction may stir unnecessary clashes with the international community at a time when we are making an effort to convince the international community to reach a better agreement with Iran. Netanyahu didn't cancel any of the other tenders, which applied to settlements both inside and outside the major settlement blocks. The E1 land strip, stretching from East Jerusalem to Ma'ale Adumim and covering a territory of nearly 3,000 acres, has for years been a bone of contention between Israel and the Palestinians. Critics of Israel's West Bank policies have argued that construction in the area would make a contiguous Palestinian state nearly impossible, while Israeli officials claim building at the site is essential for the development of Jerusalem and for Israel's security. The United States State Department condemned the decision when spokeswoman Jen Psaki said that the U.S. was surprised and deeply concerned by the announcement. The State Department was seeking clarifications from the Israeli government on the matter, she said, adding that the United States does not accept the legitimacy of continued Israeli settlement building. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas threatened to call off peace talks with Israel if Israel did not go back on the announcement to build these new settlements. Palestinian chief negotiator Saeb Erekat said that Abbas had tasked him with passing on his ultimatum to the Arab League and to the Quartet of Middle East peacemakers, the European Union, Russia, the United Nations, and the United States. Furthermore, the Palestinians threatened to appeal to the UN Security Council over Israel's quickening settlement drive in the West Bank and to step up efforts to join UN agencies. In the coming hours, the Palestinian leadership is going to consider appealing to the UN Security Council and seeking membership of international organizations if Israel does not reverse its latest settlement announcement, Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat said. Mohammed Shataya, a top negotiator with the Palestinian Authority as well, said that failure to reach a peace deal with Israel would be better than having an agreement which allows for Israel to continue the settlement building, referring to the building of Jewish homes in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Shataya, however, rejected any interim agreement with Israel, saying, "We are not looking for the extension of an interim agreement or any other interim agreement. Instead," he said, "what we seek is a comprehensive and final agreement that provides the requirements of justice for the Palestinian cause." Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said that his top peace negotiators, Saeb Erekat and Mohammed Shataya, Shataya, have presented him with letters of resignation over the direction of the direct peace talks with Israel. In an interview with Egyptian television, Abbas suggested the negotiations would continue even if the Palestinian delegation stuck to its decision, saying that the Palestinians would continue to honor the commitments that they made to the peace talks until the end of the 9-month period agreed with Israel and the United States is over. Regarding the negotiators, Abbas said, either we can convince them to return, and we're trying to do that, or we will form a new negotiating delegation. As a result of the resignations, Israel and Palestinian negotiators have no immediate plans for the next round of talks between the two sides. However, it is possible that the Palestinians will take advantage of the current crisis to get answers or guarantees from the United States before deciding to return to the negotiating table. Senior Palestinian Authority officials said that Mahmoud Abbas would not take the drastic step of ceasing negotiations without support of the Arab League. Palestinian leaders unanimously believe that no progress will be made without pressure on Israel from the international community, and in the meantime, that's not happening, said one Palestinian official. Among the Palestinian leadership, there are some who believe that we must immediately leave the negotiations and turn to the United Nations organizations like the Security Council. Others still believe we should seek the help of the quartet and specifically the United States. Another official said that Abbas would not leave the negotiating table without coordinating this action with the United States first. Israel's chief negotiator in peace talks with the Palestinians, Israel Justice Minister Tzipi Livni, criticized the resignation of Palestinian negotiators, saying that they were reneging on their commitments. The resignations are incompatible with the responsibilities that they took upon themselves in agreement to have direct peace talks with Israel, Livni said in an interview with Israel Army Radio. Regarding the peace talks themselves, Livni said that Israel is on the brink of international isolation and warned that the country's economy will suffer if a peace agreement was not made with the Palestinians. Next, the head of the left-wing political party Meretz, Zahava Gal-On, said that the Obama administration is determined to achieve a major breakthrough next year in the negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians, including arrangements for a final status agreement. There will be a new diplomatic program based upon the pre-1967 borders with agreed land swaps, Gal-On said in a statement after meeting with Palestinian and American officials. She said that the United States has made a subtle but significant switch from a third party trying to bring the two sides together to a role of direct involvement in the process. Israel Army Radio reported that if the current direct peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians fail, then the United States will propose its own solution in January that will include the U.S. position on every issue in dispute between Israel and the Palestinians. In effect, the United States will attempt to force both Israel and the Palestinians to agree on the dictated solution proposed by the United States. Palestinian sources also confirmed that January is when the U.S. intends to impose its own peace plan. The U.S. decision to present a proposed agreement was reportedly communicated by several senior officials, including Special Representative to the talks Martin Indyk. Secretary of State John Kerry reportedly briefed Netanyahu on the matter when they met recently in Rome, Italy. At that meeting, Netanyahu rejected a U.S. proposal to station American forces in the Jordan Valley or to allow other international troops to maintain security along Israel's eastern border. During the 7-hour meeting in Rome, Kerry attempted to finish outlining the border for the future Palestinian state. Netanyahu drew his outline first. In Netanyahu's map, the Palestinian state is farther away from the Jordan Valley, is surrounded on all sides by areas under Israeli sovereignty, is demilitarized, and preserves for Israel the greater Jerusalem area in Jewish settlement blocks. The Palestinians, for their part, are thought to be unwilling to give up a state that does not stretch to the Jordan River, nor will they agree to not control the northern Dead Sea area. The U.S. peace plan, expected to be released in January, is expected to be similar to the Clinton outline offered by U.S. President Bill Clinton in late 2000, which is based on an Israeli temporarily retreat to the 1949 armistice lines in some swaths of territory. The U.S. plan is spread out over a gradual timetable, calls for the investment of billions of dollars in the Palestinian economy, and will include suggestions for a broader regional peace treaty based upon the Arab Peace Initiative. Until we do it again, Shalom in Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.